I am a temple who walks the earth. My womb is fertile for giving birth. I am a woman planted in truth. I grow my branches from sacred roots. You are the form of who you want to be. So come untethered, your soul is free. We're here to heal, we're here to thrive. We are a dream who's come alive. We light a candle, our hearts awake. Illumination for God's sake. A revelation for God's sake. An evolution for God's sake. An inspiration for God's sake. 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 For God's sake.
And so it is. Hello, Essence. I'm Jody England, and you are listening to Wild Soul Medicine Radio. Welcome back. I am here today in much anxiety and trepidation. Today, I am coming undone, and this is really the kickoff to a month of the Woman Come Undone experience, which is a new paradigm experiment where we are bringing together women who are leading the charge for transforming the new paradigm, and they have agreed to show up doing public, vulnerable, deeply personal energy healing sessions with me around things that they teach in their business, around things that are happening in their lives. And the reason we're doing this is because we are intending to create an experience of essence. So as we come undone in our truth and our transparency, we invite you to witness us in our wholeness. So we aren't just one thing. We aren't just women who have it all together or who are done in some way. And what we really are wanting to do is to catalyze a movement toward all of us having permission to be all the parts of ourselves. And in the feminine wave of the new paradigm, that very much involves us being both teacher and student in all realms of our lives, not just in our businesses, but in our lives and our sisterhoods and our friendships, our relationships, our mothering, and so on. So today I have agreed to show up and kick off this month-long experience by coming undone myself. And I have invited one of my dearest, wisest soul sisters. Her name is Sway Spilkin. She is a somatic psychotherapist, a soul guide, a healer of healers. She is a magnificently deep and fierce and really divinely guided champion of clarity and truth and freedom. And she is my go-to coach and healer for, all things. And she's also one of my besties. And so I have invited her here. She works in a really similar way that I do as far as the energetic realms. And although she has some other cool specialties, which we'll hear about, I'm sure, as we do our work today. And so I'm going to unmute Sway's line so we can say hello, and then we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to talk about or what we're going to work with today. And then we're going to spend the majority of the session actually with Sway facilitating me. So with that, I would love to welcome my beautiful, wise friend, Sway Spilkin. Hello, love.
Hi, love. Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you here. And it's funny because I love doing transformational work, and I do lots of sessions, and I'm always super excited if it's a day when I get to have a clearing of any kind. And there's something really interesting about doing this publicly that is adding a whole other layer. Like, I barely slept last night. I've been feeling all day like I was going to throw up. I've been like just agitated and nervous. So I'm just going to say that.
Do you know what I love about you, Jody? One of the many things I love about you is that you're saying this with, I can hear the smile on your face. Like, you love that you're nervous and that you're agitated, and because you're more committed to transformation than hiding behind your fear. And you actually see fear not as a problem, but as a sign that something big is going to happen. And I just really honor that about you.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Yes. That's one of the reasons I love you. Yeah. So let's talk about, Sway and I were having a conversation the other day around, I'm just going to share because Sway is really transparent too. So we have many synchronicities and similarities on our soul paths and on our lives. We actually are the same soul path as well. And Sway developed a health issue recently, and she was sharing about it. And I was like, oh, I have that thing too, which is this weird histamine response, which causes lots of symptoms in the body. And so we decided to have a call together. Like, let's just see if what can we learn about this, and what can we know, and what's similar and what's different about, both of our situations. And it led us into this really interesting connection between the launch of this big, Woman Come Undone experience and my work in the world. And it just felt like a perfect tie-in between what's up for me, and then also such a great example of this whole teacher and student phenomenon. So while we both have the issue, because of course there's a match, and that's how energy works, having the issue does not mean you can't facilitate or heal around the issue, which is so freeing, isn't it? So I'd love to just hear from you, Sway, about any thoughts you have regarding any of them.
I was just thinking about that before the call, how the amazing beauty of the fact that so much of what I'm working within my own system gets reflected outside of me in my clients, and how when I do a piece of work with my clients, it's an opportunity for that same energetic kind of transmission around the healing in my own system, and vice versa. When I'm doing my own work, by affecting the field, it affects everybody else. And so, I think that's an old myth that somehow we have to be, quote, healed and fixed in order to help anyone else. And that's just some idea around what's supposed to be happening, versus opening to the perfection of like, okay, here I am, totally vulnerable and in my stuff. And wow, here's this person come to me with this same issue. And if I actually open to the divine in this moment and am willing to receive support, then we can both receive a healing here. And it doesn't have to be me in, a one-up position in relationship to them.
Yes, exactly. And that's exactly what we are doing with the Woman Come Undone experiences, is taking the veil off of that old paradigm thinking that the one up and the one down and the expert and the student and all of that, and just owning that we can be both. We can be a brilliant healer and have health issues and have a beautiful connection to the divine and have enormous questions and doubts. We're all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that in my path, in my work, I've talked a lot about the path of initiation and learning through challenge. And it feels like in our minds, that's what we have to get over to get where we need to go. But in reality, that is the path. Going through life as it is, in our bliss and in the challenges, is exactly what gives us the learning and the wisdom that we need in order to be able to serve. So it's not something to get around or a sign that we're doing something wrong. It is the doorway.
So good. So good. So I'm debating in this moment of, should we lay out the theme that we think we're talking about, or should we kind of dive in and see if that is the actual theme? What are you feeling?
I think let's lay it out, and like all things, it will likely change. So go ahead and go for it and kind of name what you know about this territory, and then we'll see what happens. And when you feel ready for me to kind of step in and start kind of working with you as if we're in a session, let me know.
I will.
Okay.
I'm also conscious that I could easily hold the reins for a long time and not do that. So we'll just do a brief kind of overview, and then we'll move into that. So as Sway and I were having this conversation the other day, what I was present to is, for me, one of the places that I really get upper limited in my work and in my purpose and in my life is, gosh, I can feel emotion coming up just even saying it, is this relationship to my physical body, where it's like the physical body just always feels in the way, like it's not as expansive when I connect with my psychic abilities and my seeing and my spirit and the up realms. There's so much space and things can happen really easily. And then there's this relationship to the physical realm, which feels really dense and hard to navigate. And so, what has shown up before and what is showing up now is, as I'm, opening a portal for the Woman Come Undone experience, and then on the heels of that magic school, my body is in reaction, right? So the coughing is intense, where, I'm coughing to the point that I would throw up or be unable to have a conversation or have to constantly have a cough drop in my mouth so I can even function. I have a rash down the whole side of my neck and down my back. Super irritability, right? And like digestive issues and stuff like that. And so it feels to me like I want to run 1,000 watts of energy through like old cloth wiring that can only handle 60 watts, And so I kind of like come into the body and feel like, ooh, could I expand here? And it's like, no. And then I just go up. And I know that not only is painful in my body, but also makes it difficult to manifest in the here and now, because it's hard to actually be here for the arrival of the thing. So that's my piece of it. And then Sway has so many more pieces because she is a somatic therapist, which has to do with the body. So,
well, sweetie, I just want to speak from my humanity in this moment, and not so much my role as a somatic therapist, which is just, as you're talking, I can feel so much love for you and so much sadness for all of us in the resistance of the physical. And in my own experience, I know that I've at times, especially when I'm struggling in my body, like right now, dealing with some of my health challenges that have kind of come up again, there's a sense of not wanting to turn towards what is, because this belief of it being in the way or it being limited, or some sense of, what you were saying, like, I'm going to get stuck here. Like if I actually turn towards the physical, it has way less capacity than my mind or my spiritual abilities. And so I don't want to, and then there's a resentment of it, right? And a, kind of pushing away. And that can often result in disassociation, actually, some freeze in the nervous system and disconnection from the body, which can make our symptoms worse and more anxiety. And yet we have to kind of push our experience away in order to manage it. That's my somatic hat coming in. And yet the truth is that, here we are in this puzzle of being, awakening spiritual beings, really here to fully embody ourselves. And the doorway to our greatest gifts actually is the portal, right? You use this word portal. The portal for ourselves, for our gifts, really is coming in and down and being in relationship to. And in order to do that, we have to feel all of the things that we don't want to feel, that we're escaping. And that's, my experience as well. Last night, my dear friend, I'll just name this before we start, my dear friend Jenny came over, and laid on the couch with me and spooned me and rubbed my head as I cried and, fought my physical body, which has been in a bit of a freeze response. And I came into thawing and I could feel, oh, this thing that I've been resisting, being here and feeling this, it's actually so much better to feel it. That's where I can let God in, and that's where I can let love in, and things are possible than to pull away from it and constrict. So just to say, I'm right there with you in this exploration, and I feel like this time together is an opportunity for both of us to, and whoever's listening, it's like, can we actually trust this physical experience and trust that God, that the divine is right here, not separate from what's happening.
So beautiful. That feels really good in my system to just to hear you validate that experience from last night, because it is exactly what's happening in my body right now. Like, it's even hard for me to sit still, and I'm sweating, and I'm like clenching my hands and shifting in my seat. And I'm ready. So I would love to turn the reins over to you to hold this, to just hold this as the healing space that you do. And I'm going to take off my radio show host hat and just move into showing up as student and willing participant in what wants to emerge.
Beautiful. So, sweetie, I'm going to ask you then, just like I would ask anyone, which is, what do you want? What's your intention or desire for our time together here?
My intention is to make peace and partnership within my physical body so that it feels like there's an integration, so that my body can support and expand to allow all of this purpose and energy to move through it in a way that's graceful and easy and less painful.
So I'm going to challenge you a little bit right at the front here, which is to say that in a way those are two separate intentions, right? And the first part is, I want to make peace with my body. And the second part is, so that it will behave according to what I want.
Right. There's always a hidden agenda.
I'm going to make peace with my body so that it will be useful. My purpose gets to come through completely, and it gets to look really great.
Right.
And
because there is that fear in there. That's what's in there, right? Is like, if I make peace with my body, then I don't want to make peace if I can't do the other things, So what is the bigger intention?
Well, so I just want to name, this is kind of a paradigm wrestling between like law of attraction and a more wisdom-based, not that law of attraction isn't full of wisdom, but a more wisdom school-based, like, willingness to surrender to whatever is without control. And on one hand, we don't want to, in our willingness to surrender to whatever it is, we don't want to get sucked into some hole and be, playing out old patterns that don't serve, right? That's the fear of like, it's going to be bad if I surrender to what is. And on the other hand, it's our control itself that is causing the problem. So my invitation to you in terms of the larger intention is something as simple as, I want to make peace with my body. Yeah. So what happens as you try that one on? What do you notice?
It feels small, and I'm like, but can't there be a way that it's like integrate? So it's this and that.
Yeah, I think it can. I think that absolutely you can hold like, and I know what's possible on the other side, like if I make peace with my body, it's also possible that I can feel this great ease and all the things that you wanted. But I feel like just in this moment that your edge is the willingness to surrender. And what if you don't get to choose the outcome? And what if falling in love with yourself. And how about the biggerness is so that I can let God all the way through, so that I can let the divine into every cell, every aspect of my being. But you don't get to choose then what that looks like once you do that. How's that?
Yes. There's the tears. That's it. Yeah.
Sweetie. Yeah. Yeah. So just stay with those tears for a moment. Let yourself feel that sadness, that emotion that's there. You might even want to put a hand on your heart. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And can you say more about the tears?
Yeah, it feels like grief. Grief at the separation. And a longing. Yeah, a longing to have that be so.
Yeah, sweetie. So just let yourself feel both. Both are really important here. The grief of the separation, we don't want to skip over that. Yeah. Yeah. Just let that move through. Letting yourself feel it. And the longing. The longing for union. This is the most basic human longing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What's that like as you feel both of those right now, sweetie?
Yeah, I just felt like my little girl self wanting to please God. I'm gonna do it really good, so you'll be happy.
So sweet.
I know.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah. So she has to do it herself. She can't let God do it because she's got to show God she's got it handled.
What a dilemma. So if she surrenders, it means that she won't be good enough, and then she won't get love.
Right.
And approval. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What a bind.
Yeah, because why do I have this purpose if I'm not the one that's supposed to do it? Right.
Right. Right. Oh, she's got a kind of savior over responsibility thing going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with the most innocence and sweetness, I just want to love her for a moment. Will you thank her for showing up and revealing herself?
Yes. Yeah, she's very proud. She's got her hands on her hips.
Yeah. So just feel your love for her for a moment here. How much you appreciate her and her proudness and her intention to do her purpose.
Yes.
And can she feel you loving her?
Yeah, she can. And she also doesn't receive my love very well. She's like, don't love me. I'm doing my purpose.
Now this is that's a really interesting thing. I'm doing my purpose, so I'm not available to take in love.
Yes.
Not available to take in support. I got to do it by myself and shut down all the doors to support.
Yes. Whew, that's tough.
So let's just slow this one down. This is right at the heart of it here. Yeah. I just got a flash of looking at her and I'm like, oh, she's actually so lonely.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's the dilemma. It's going to destabilize things a little bit. As you move towards taking in more love, more nourishment, literally, this is what your body's reacting to is nourishment, food. It might feel like you're putting your purpose at risk because she's been operating for so long, thinking that taking in nourishment and love and support is going to put my purpose at jeopardy. So I have to do it by myself and close those doors. It's an either or. So it's going to feel kind of risky at first as we start to destabilize this. Yeah, so what happens as I say that?
I feel up for it. I was just reflecting on two experiences. One, I went for a walk this morning. I had so much to do, but there was so much energy moving through and I just felt like I was going to vomit. So I went out and laid on a rock and just felt the sun, and I could feel the openness, of like, oh, just getting out of the way. And so I had this beautiful opening experience. My husband came out and just, held me and sat with me, and it was so beautiful. And then I came back in and I had a message from one of my clients saying, I just want to send you a tithe for the beautiful spiritual medicine that you give me. And so I'd like to just send you some extra money. And I was like, what? And I texted her, like, are you sure? You already paid me $1,000, right? And she's like, I know. I just want to pay you some more. And I was like, I felt the divine in that, of course, right? Like it felt like a reward. Like, here's what happens when you open. So I get it. I'm really getting it on a conscious level, and I'll be curious where the hang up is in my system around it. Because right now it feels like a go.
Beautiful. And again, I want to be the voice of challenge here a little bit. Sometimes that's what happens when we open. But sometimes pain happens when we open. And opening means opening to it all and finding God in all of it, including the things that we might take as evidence that see God is against us.
Yes, I could see a hang up being in that space.
So beautiful. I love that you got that message and that, invitation. And I actually just want to go back to that moment where you were laying on the rock with the sunshine. And then we're going to go back to the little girl in a moment. Just tune in and see what it feels like in your body to take in that light, that love. I had a yoga teacher who talked about light is the currency of love. So feeling that sunshine as love penetrating your body. And what do you notice in your physical body in this moment as you tune into that memory?
So on the surface layer, it was beautiful and warm and intensely bright. And it did feel really nourishing. I was thinking like, oh, I'm getting some vitamin D, and I could feel it healing my cells. And then there was almost a way that maybe 25% in, there was some stopping of like, oh, I might get a sunburn. What am I doing? Laying out here in the sun. Is that too much sun?
Great. So just tune into that manager voice for a moment. It feels related to the blocking of nourishment and that little girl. And we'll just go with what's here. So as the sun comes in and you feel that molecule, the molecules of the sun going in, you can feel that the brakes coming up. And just tune into that. Am I going to get burnt? And is this too much? And, where in your body do you feel that manager, that blocking coming up?
It feels like a force field, like a dome that surrounds me, and it looks exactly like the dome from my core event that stopped me from getting out.
Yeah, sweetie. So tune into that dome that stopped you from getting out, and this time it's stopping love, nourishment from getting in.
Yeah.
And just tune into that dome for a minute. Like a energetic force field around you.
Yep.
Yeah. And go ahead and ask it, what's its purpose?
Yeah. So there's a lot of fuck you energy in it.
Yes.
Yeah. It's right. It's like a fuck you to God. Like,
Yes.
you weren't there for me. You're not coming in.
That's it, sweetie. Let yourself feel that. You weren't there for me. You're not coming in. Fuck you. I don't trust you. I can do it better myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just let yourself feel that dome. And I actually want to invite you to have your fuck you at God. And when you say, you weren't there for me, what are you specifically referring to?
So in the moment of my core wound, there was this feeling of like I could feel the separation happening. So I could feel my ability to be in other dimensions and go where I wanted to go with no limits. And then I could feel it like as part of this soul path, as part of this lifetime, I felt it closing. And I got really scared and I wanted to run. I was like, I don't want this deal anymore.
Yeah.
But there was a dome, and so I was like way up above my body, and I was hitting up against the dome trying to get out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it was like it was too late. You know, there was no grace, or there was no, like, the contract was done. You know, and so I just felt stuck.
Mm. Yeah. So something in you, what you just said, caught my attention, which was that moment where you felt it kind of closing in. You felt the separation starting.
Yes.
And there was this like desperate, I want to get out of here, but you couldn't.
Yes.
I want to go back to that moment for a minute here and just tune into your body. And that moment before you felt the separation starting. What do you notice? Describe for me the state in your body before the separation.
So there was sort of a process of the separation. So do you want me to go back to the piece where it felt good, or?
Sure. Yeah. Let's start there.
Yeah. So where it felt good, there was, feel that. Gosh, I don't spend much time there. It felt like it wasn't even a thought, you know, like there was so much integration that it was just natural, you know, and it was like, it wasn't even like I was wearing the body. It was like the body and the spirit were just like spaciousness, and they were sort of dancing. The molecules were dancing with each other.
Hang out there for a minute. Mm-hmm. Let your body feel that sense of, it's not about wearing the body. That's a funny way to put it, right?
I know, right?
It's actually just the spaciousness. The molecules are dancing with each other. There's no separation. And do you have a memory of this in the physical body?
I do. I haven't accessed it in a while.
Great. So hang out there. There might be some nausea or some discomfort, or it might just feel really good. Uh-huh. Yeah, what do you notice?
I'm noticing a lot more space. A lot more space in my body. And I can feel the habit of it wanting to condense. So it's like, oh, I feel open. And then, oh, is that okay? And so I'm just kind of playing with it's almost like letting air in to some of the stuck places. Yeah,
great. Just stay with that. And here's the invitation. If you feel a wanting to, actually, I'm not even going to say that. I'm just going to wait for it to happen. So just stay with it. We'll just see what happens here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
There was so much trust in her, in me. There was so much trust of like, it's all okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, sweetie, it's this loss of innocence that you experience. Just let yourself feel that trust. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was so innocent. It was like, of course it's okay. It's always okay.
And how old were you?
5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do the listeners know what your core event was?
I don't know if I've shared, I might have shared pieces of it, but I don't know if I've shared the whole thing.
Do you want to just do a super brief, like a, couple sentences so people can follow along here?
Yeah, it'd probably take 4 sentences. I was playing at my grandmother's house. I was playing with other dimensions, with magic, with fairies. I was opening portals and playing with my friends from those places. And then my friends left. They went outside a fence where I wasn't allowed to go, and I couldn't follow them. I tried to get my sister to help me open the gate, and she was following the rules. And I got really mad at her, and she told me that she said, there aren't any fairies, right? And so I had to, I knew that I was right, but I had to like agree. And so I was laying there in the grass, like trying to figure out how to make the fairies come back. And while that was happening, I could feel myself forgetting. I was very present to the slowing of the vibration and the physical body. And that's when I went above my body trying to get out.
Great.
Yeah. And then more humanness ensued. So then I had to go to the bathroom. I waited too long. I couldn't get in the house. I peed and pooped my pants standing outside my grandma's house. She came out really angry with me. She called my dad. I got punished. So there was all of this like human tale to it of like, not only are you stuck here, but you're dirty and you're bad and they don't get you and it's hard. Yeah.
So sad. Yeah. So what do you notice as you start to tell that story?
My chest tightens right in my, just above my sternum, kind of like right in the middle of my rib cage.
So here's the invitation. I want to go back and do it a little bit differently than what happened the first time.
Okay.
And the invitation is to actually stay with yourself and to stay open to God, even in the discomfort, even in the pain, even in the grief of being shut down and told, and even feeling the fairies leave and even pooing in your pants, and, to actually stay with yourself. So in this moment, what that means is to let yourself feel that contraction in your chest completely. So just not trying to change it, just being with it. Yeah. And staying with it. And it's okay, whatever happens. If you cough, doesn't matter. Whatever happens.
It's actually contracting a lot more, like,
Great.
Like pulling way in.
So stay with that contraction all the way. Be really present and curious, just like in the beginning of our call when I was like, oh my God, I love how willing you are to go into your fear.
It's almost the feeling of like wanting to create a vortex inside myself that I could just disappear and follow out of, if that makes sense.
Right. So there's okay, I'm going to leave my body out the front, or I'm going to leave out inside myself, but I got to get out of here. So just tune into that impulse and just be present with it. And actually, I want to make a kind of timeline. Go back one moment to that spaciousness and the trust that you were feeling. And just feel a through line. You're not trying to change this experience, but you're staying connected to the trust while being present with the contraction.
Okay, good.
Great. And just stay present with the contraction from this place of where you were before, which is knowing, oh, I'm okay. I'm not, there's no problem here. I'm with the divine. I'm with the fairies. Like, even if the fairies are not here, there's no problem here. So feeling that as you tune into that contraction in your chest.
So the contraction is moving now. So it's now like burning up the right side of my neck, and my lower right, like my kidney is hurting like crazy.
Great. And this is where you have the rash and you've had kidney problems. Is that correct?
Yeah. And peeing, right? Peeing my pants. And yeah.
So stay with it, sweetie. Just really being a student of it. And let yourself surrender completely to the sensation without resistance. So going right into that sensation down your neck and in your kidney, and just relaxing into it, allowing it to show you.
My teeth are chattering like crazy now.
That's really good. Just let that chattering happen. That's a release. Yeah, just taking that trust and surrendering into the sensation. That's right. That's right. That's right. Just let that chattering happen, staying with the sensation. Yeah. You can trust your body's ability to move this here without you moving it. You're not the mover. You're the movie.
Mm-hmm. This is a very different feeling than normally I would feel like I was outside my body trying to like stop the sensation.
Yeah.
And when I'm not doing that, it is moving through me. My hands are shaking, my shoulders twitching.
Good. Let that happen. Let the hands shake. Let your shoulder twitch. This is your nervous system's natural intelligence that knows how to move the energy. So just staying with it. You're not making anything happen. You're just being with yourself here. There you go. You might feel some energy pouring out the bottoms of your feet or your pelvic floor, your hands. You might feel heat or cold. Yeah. And you might have a wave of anger or sadness come up. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a big much more fuck you in my kidney.
Yeah, I could just feel that. So stay with that fuck you and let yourself have it. Mm-hmm. You might want to say fuck you to God or to your sister or to the fairies, whoever you want to say fuck you to. Let yourself have it while staying with the sensation. You might want to imagine yelling it. You might want to even open your mouth. Let the energy come out your mouth a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's grief behind that. It's like, why me?
That's right. Just let yourself feel that. Why me? This is your humanity here. All humans feel this. That's right. And I want to say to this little one, you're not doing anything wrong. This is sometimes how it goes here on planet Earth. It's okay to feel this. It will pass. It will move through. The divine has not abandoned you, I promise. Yeah, so stay with that why me and the grief and the sensation.
Yeah, she took her hands off her hips and she said, I'm good. I'm good. First she was like convincing me, and then it was more like she realized, like, I'm good.
Yeah, that's fine. She's good, and there's big emotion moving through. Both are true. Mm-hmm. Letting yourself feel her goodness, like, okay, I'm okay. And a lot of grief, a lot of fuck you. Just letting that move through.
Yeah, there's a piece that's kind of sticking right near my spine by my kidney, and it's a lost piece, like I feel lost.
Great. So just tune into that lostness for a moment. Feeling her okay, feeling that sense of the divine, even when we can't feel it, feeling me here with you, and just be present with that lostness. Just let yourself go, feel the sensations completely.
Yeah, there's a lot of nausea in that one.
Right. Stay with that nausea. You're just going to let it move through. There's room here for all of it. There's nothing you need to leave or resist.
Yeah, it feels like seasickness. Like
Right.
I don't know how to navigate here.
Yes. Makes so much sense. Such an intelligent body.
Yeah, and it feels like being on a ship that you can't get off of.
Yeah, sweetie.
Like, okay, I'm done with this ride. Where do I get off?
Yeah. Yeah, so I want to just bring in a little help for her. It's like, here I am with the adult you navigating this. I just want to bring in some support for the younger you. So let's imagine, might be just whoever you imagine, kind of the perfect adult there to be with her, to help her know how to navigate.
I'm going to bring the adult you. Is that okay?
Perfect. Yeah, totally fine. So bringing the adult me there. So here I am with you now, as you're with this seasickness and this I don't know how to navigate, and I'm back in time, and just right there with her as the fairies disappear and the gate closes and she can't find them again. I'm just going to be with her, just going to sit with her in the grass for a minute.
She's terrified.
Yeah, that's right. And there's room for that terror. I'm just going to be with her in that fear. Let her know that this is what happens sometimes in a human body. Sometimes we have more access to those spiritual realms. Sometimes we have less, but they never leave us. It just gets denser. And especially when we get scared, it's harder for us to see what's there. But it's really okay. They're never gone. And most adults don't understand this because they have forgotten. But it's okay. Yeah, what happens is she feels me there with her, explaining the rules of this three-dimensional world.
Yeah, she's less frantic, and she has a question like, the adults are big and they seem to have power. Mm-hmm. So if they don't get it, where does that leave me?
Good question. It's so vulnerable.
Yeah.
So vulnerable. So I just want you, Jody, you now, just to feel the vulnerability of that question for a minute. Like, how do I do this if I don't have power, but I know something more than the people in power?
That is the conundrum of my life and my work.
Mm-hmm. So here's what I want to say to her. I'm sitting on the grass next to her, and I grab her little hands in mine and just holding her little hands. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. With one hand, I also am just brushing her little head.
She likes that.
Yeah. I just want to say, and I'm just holding her little heart. I want to say to her, sweetie, the real power comes from within. The real power is in your relationship with the divine. That's the real power. And your job is to cultivate that relationship, even in the midst of the physical. And the more you do that, the more things will fall into place. And I know sometimes it's going to be frustrating and it's hard and you think these people are so stupid because sometimes they are, and I get all that. The real power is between you and your highest self. It's between you and the divine. And nobody can take that away from you. Only you. You're the only one that can take that away from you.
Yeah, as you say that, I can feel my friend, the fairy, her name was Sparkly, but I couldn't say Sparkly, so I called her Sparky. And I can see all these sparks in between my molecules. Because a question passed through of like, well, if I'm divinity and divinity is moving through me, why do we need the body? And what I got is, there's magic in feeling the divine through the body, right? There's something added with that experience.
So take a minute and just breathe into that, feeling Sparky there with you, feeling the molecules lit up. And just, this is a different way, right? You learned to leave in that moment. And in this moment, you're rewiring and practicing, oh, what if I actually stay with myself instead? There might be some magic here. Just tuning into that magic. And again, part of the magic is the willingness to feel the gunk, the density, the heaviness, the stuff we don't like.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for bringing me back there, because it is so easy to avoid that.
I know. I can feel, I love the one of you who chases peak experiences, like, okay, we're going to find some magic here.
Yeah, because I keep asking that question. That there was something around like the soul medicine path is a contract with God. Like, can you love me even when it's hard? And then I was like, well, why does it have to be hard? Can't we just love each other like we normally do?
It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be hard, but sometimes it is hard. And when it is hard, that's when our task is to open our hearts to it being hard and just be with it so it can move.
Yes, that's the next level of trust. So I had seen, one day I went to look at my contract with God around this lifetime of, what is this? And I saw this like giant book of, all of these lifetimes of me really being this archangel servant of God, and so much trust and loyalty, and that this lifetime was about me not trusting God. And then how can I get back to that? And so, of course, in that moment, I saw it and I was like, okay, great. Let's close the book on that. I'm going to trust you. Right? Except for then the body is the place where that continuously plays out.
Yeah. So I want to actually bring you there right now, tuning into your body in this present moment. I'm with the little girl and you're with yourself. Mm-hmm. And actually, I want to invite you to be with the little girl now, taking my place. Mm-hmm. So you're with her in image and you're with yourself in sensation. And just coming back to whatever you're feeling in this moment on a sensation level, feel your willingness to be with it. This is a portal. Your sensation is a portal. So just letting yourself notice anywhere in your body that you're contracting.
Mm-hmm. All of my joints.
Great. Tune right into your joints. And instead of trying to change the contraction, open to the contraction. Let it be okay that you're contracting. This is a survival piece. And just soften to the fact that you're contracting and let yourself feel the contraction. It won't kill you, I promise. I'm doing the same thing in my own body as you're with you. Just dropping into the sensations of contraction and feeling your willingness to be with yourself there.
It's funny you said you're doing it with me. I just had a huge tailbone activation too, like, and hips, like the back part of my pelvis is like just throbbing, or like what is it? Nothing now.
Yeah. So just staying with whatever sensation you're noticing. And just noticing how it ebbs and flows and moves. And I want to let the little girl know a secret as you're doing that. And the secret is that the key to staying connected to the divine is to actually stay with what's happening no matter what. And our attempts to escape makes it harder for us to find the pathway to God. And I love that she wants to. She wants to be with the divine. She's a servant. She's an archangel. She knows this about herself. And she came here to do that in the physical this time. She's not doing anything wrong. Oh, she's so cute. I just got a flash. She's like, okay, but can you stay with me forever? Because these people don't know that.
She was. Yeah. And she's like, oh yeah, I've remembered this before, but I keep forgetting. Can you stay here and always remind me?
Yes, she's so sweet. I love her.
I do too.
And I'll say to her, I can't stay here and always remind her, but you know who can? Jody.
Yeah, I can.
Just feeling your adult self. I forgot that you were there I replaced you with me a while ago and then step back in. So just go ahead and step back in and be with her there. Just let her snuggle up in your lap. You might feel another wave of sensation as you do that.
Yeah, I'm present to how I need her. Like, I think she's been separate from me, and I can feel as she's in my lap, like I could bring the knowledge and the awareness, and she could bring that pure trust. Yeah.
Yeah. So just take a moment to let her know that. Let her know that you need her trust. That that's magic for you. That's medicine.
Yeah. She says, yeah, I want to do that.
So take a moment, Jody, in this and right now to let her trust be present in your physical body, even while you're feeling the contraction. The key is that they go side by side.
Okay.
It's like the magic alchemical elixir.
It is, isn't it? Wow, that's interesting. I'm struck by by that piece of truly energetically being our wholeness when we're all of the parts, like literally here in this space. I'm in doubt and I'm in trust. It's both.
Exactly. That capacity, the wisdom, the capacity to hold contradiction and paradox is what is another portal to the divine. It grows our capacity, and there's a magical kind of alchemical process that happens. So just stay with that trust and the doubt.
I totally just saw it open like an infinite number of portals within portals. Oh, it's awesome.
So just staying with that in the body, those doorways, as you feel her trust, and not leaving her, not leaving yourself, not leaving the divine, all of you here. It's like the Russian nesting dolls, from the inner child to the multidimensionality of you. There you go. I can feel this kind of flood of energy in my own pelvis as I tune in.
Yeah, I just stood up off my stool, which was having me have to bend over. And so I'm like moving my pelvis, and it feels a lot better.
Perfect. Just stay with that movement. You know, Pema Chodron has a title of one of her books called The Wisdom of No Escape. And that feels like what your practice is in this moment.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I feel the download of that.
So taking another moment or two to integrate as we move towards completion, and just checking in, feeling whatever you need in order to be able to really allow this session to serve you. So just kind of tune in and see what you need here at the end for completion.
I'm feeling the extreme presence of the now, you know, like like the surrender of being fully here.
Yeah, I was just writing about that yesterday, this sense of how we think the answer to the problem is out in front of us, or you know, by escaping, or that we can find God by going forward or going backward. But actually, it's only by totally opening to what's happening in this moment.
And I can feel the release of the so that, right? Yeah, like, because I was trying that on, like, okay, so I'm present, so that do I go do my website next? And then it was just like, there is no so that. Like, that might happen, and this is the thing.
Good. So feel that level of surrender, that trust in the moment, like this is it. We're not chasing something else. We don't get to control the outcome. And it's good. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
That's medicine for me as well in this moment. Trying that on. Good.
Yeah.
And let yourself feel that on a cellular level right here at the end. Any places that are contracting, let it feel that like this. What's it like to surrender completely to this moment? This is an end in and of itself.
Yep, I just felt it go all the way down through my hips and my legs, down into the ground.
Good. Stay with that for a moment. Good.
Mm-hmm. My body feels really good right now.
Great. Just let yourself enjoy that. And just take note that you got there not by leaving, but by staying with yourself.
Yes, good note. Mm-hmm. Yes, I got it. I feel it.
Okay, sweetie.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, my brilliant sister.
You're welcome. Thank you. I just feel, we're so parallel on this path of being willing to find God through the body, find the divine, find our purpose in surrender instead of control. And I just have experienced, and I know you've experienced this too, the miracles. I'm going to the so that for a moment, but the miracles that can be possible when we do that. And life never stops giving us opportunities to practice so that we can get there, like big rashes and physical pain and reaction to food. And the opportunity is like, okay, can you be with God in this? Can you be with God in this?
Yes, so true. And it's so important to have people who can witness you and be with you, because when it's just you and your ego or you and your scared little girl, it's nearly impossible to stay and to not run. So I really appreciated your story about your friend coming over and being that for you last night, and my husband being it for me earlier today, and you being it for me so many times and today.
So true. Thank you. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like she developed a mistaken belief there at that age, which was, I can do it better by myself. Mm-hmm. And the truth is we can't. Actually, we do it so much better with the help of the divine and the help of love from our friends and our people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Sway Spilkin, so much. I don't know if Sway is in the tribe yet or not, but I will add you just so you can be in the conversation over there if people want to contact you for, doing any sessions or ask you more about your work or things like that. If you're listening and you're not yet part of the tribe, we're at facebook.com/groups/Wild Soul Medicine Radio Tribe. And if you want to find out more about Sway, you can check out her website is thresholdshealing.com. Thresholdshealing.com. We'll put that in the email after the show here on the website and over in the tribe as well. She is, as you see, brilliant and amazing, and I highly recommend her. So thank you, darling, for being willing to play with us. I love you.
I love you too. Such medicine for me as well. And you're so welcome. And I bow to this journey that we're both on, and all the listeners who can relate are on as well, of how do we take this risk and actually be willing to be here and be our divinity in the physical, which is a brave path. So I love you, and thanks for being my sister in this.
We are in this together.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Until next time. Bye, everyone.
We light a candle, our hearts awake. Illumination, for God's sake. A revelation, for God's sake. An inspiration, for God's sake. Illumination, for God's sake. For God's sake. For God's sake. For God.